Stephen Barker, House Kayfabe. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, that's funny. You should ask what I want to talk about. I want to do a part two of a video me and you did March of last year when Cody Rhodes started on his first run back from AEW, returning to the WWE. And it was a gimmick that started in AEW, continued on in the WWE. And I was asking back then, Derek, probably the biggest Cody Rhodes fan that I know, can this style of old school white meat, he uses his left and right turn indicators and he always helps the old lady across the street. Could that gimmick still be viable in 2024 in this postmodern hellscape of storytelling that we have across the board? And Derek, in March of last year, you said, trust me, Steve, he is. And now we're seeing it at the pinnacle of wrestling right now.
It's what we needed. We didn't know we needed it, but we had been so desensitized to violence and swearing and turning without a signal that we didn't know that that's what we needed to feel at home again. But we did. We needed a true blue American hero in the world of professional wrestling. We had not had one for so long. You know, as Cena got close, he got real close, but he got close at a certain demographic, primarily for the little ones. Cody's doing it at such a higher level and so intellectual. He is completely changing the way we see a babyface.
This man comes out in red, white, and blue. We both, and I'm sure you probably were younger because I'm one of the old heads on the channel, and Derek is our one voice of the two generations behind. When Kurt Angle came out in red, white, and blue, this motherfucker got booed out of the building for being an American hero at that time in the late 90s. You know, it is the beginning of like the post-ironic Seinfeldation of our entertainment. And Kurt Angle thought he was going to be the good guy, being the all-American badass that he was. But here's Cody Rhodes. He's the American nightmare. It's an homage to the American dream. In a world where Walter White is a beloved hero, a murderer and a drug dealer, cheated on. Did he ever cheat on his wife? I can't remember. I don't think he did, actually.
No.
He didn't. But, all around, pretty much bad guy is a hero. And Cody Rhodes comes along and says, no, this is like Clint. No, it's not Clint Eastwood, like John Wayne, black and white, 50s, 40s, like Western movie good guy.
Yeah. So, and I really kind of dug into this on his Raw promo, just dissecting the whole thing because that's what I do. I love to look for the little nuances in wrestling and compare them to different things. But put yourself in this situation 15, 20 years ago. A guy comes out, clean shaven, bleach blonde hair, three-piece suit, gold chains. He's got the waistcoat chains. He's got it all. He comes out and says words like levity and candor and things that people have to look up in the dictionary or ask their phone what it means. And you tell me he wouldn't have got booed out of the building for being, that Kurt Angle or Damian Sandow, the intellectual to the masses. That's what he is. But at the end of the promo, he looks and says to The Rock, I'm going to punch you in the face. And the place freaking erupts. They didn't care that he was using words that they don't know and have never heard in their life. But he hasn't changed anything about himself. He is extremely intelligent and he shows it off. But the people love him so much that now, instead of saying, this guy's trying to make me look stupid, in their mind, they're like, this guy's trying to teach me new words. Let's get him, Cody.
It's incredible. I think no one is talking enough about the archetype. I was watching Reacher for the first time last night as someone suggested to me that I would probably dig because I am sick to death of the tweener in all content. specifically in the TV show, The Winter Soldier and the Falcon. Their bad guy was a bad guy, but they gave her outs. Well, she's a bad guy, but she has reason to be. And, they tried to make her a tweener, right? It wasn't just a good versus evil. And even, the anti-hero, the Stone Cold Steve Austin of it all, right? He's not anything like an anti-hero. He's a real true blue American. This man pays his taxes on time. Everything about him is good. And I thought in March of last year when we did that video, please go back and watch that because I love that video. It's one of my favorite ones we've done on the channel. You said we just didn't know as a people, as content eaters of content, that we needed like someone that if you had a son, I want you to be like Cody Rhodes.
So speaking of that, leading up to this, I like to do my research, but research for Cody's really easy for me. So all I'm doing is I'm looking up Cody reaction videos now, and there's so many videos out there of kids mimicking and reacting to Cody's entrance. Just his entrance. It is modern day Hulkamania. It is modern day HBK. It is modern day The Rock, DX, all those little things that would completely bring, younger viewers to the product, that they could go to school and, you smell what The Rock's cooking, or, wear their red, white, and blue and take their vitamins and say their prayers. And he's that. And we haven't had that in professional wrestling in a long time. We've had fan favorites. Absolutely. No question. But on such a large scale, across so many age ranges, across both genders. and I say that very loosely. I understand. Don't cancel me, whatever. He is the guy. He's the pinnacle of professional wrestling right now. He comes out and makes you boo the most popular human being on planet Earth today.
Preach it, Derek Jones.
You know that when a man in a suit with blonde hair comes out and tells you that I'm right and the future president of the United States is wrong, and the people go with it, that he has us hooked.
I just can't believe it. Back in March, I wasn't sure. I said, I don't know how long this can keep up until the crowd turns. Because if you were a WCW watcher, right when Hulk Hogan came into the WCW pre-NWO, that had run its course. They had enough of take your vitamins, say your prayers, all of that. And of course, later we found out all of that is complete bullshit. I thought that was it. We're never going to have it because I'm a wrestling fan from the 80s. I started in like 86, 87. And that's Cody's dad, Dusty Rhodes. And he was a complete John Wayne, white meat, what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And when you dealt with him against Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen, or maybe when he feuded with Nikita Koloff, he never did heel shit. He never broke the rules. He never asked. He never had a heater to help him. And Cody is reimagining that. That's 86. So that's like almost 40 years ago. 40 years ago is when this kind of babyface was the norm, right? If you've watched the Von Erich movie, I was a big World Class fan. The Von Erichs were apple pie. They played football and they said, yes, ma'am, and no, sir. You know what I mean? Like that was pretty standard. And then NWO comes, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin, we have the idea of the tweener. I don't think a tweener exists. That's for another video. But dastardly cool heelish faces.
Mm-hmm.
And that had become, is it because that became so stale? Because it had been done from your
so many people.
Is that what's going on here?
So many people tried to follow that recipe of the NWO is cool, DX is cool, Stone Cold is cool. How can we just absorb all of that and recreate it everywhere? Everywhere. AJ Styles did it. Like everybody has got on board with the bad guy wears white and the good guy now wears black. And we finally have somebody that said, no, let's remember where we came from, and let me tell you why I wear a blue suit with a white shirt and a red tie with my overcoat. And let me tell you why I will not downplay my intelligence to pander to people who do not understand. Whether you like me or hate me, I'm going to raise the bar. And they love it because they haven't had it for so long.
I think we've finally figured it out. The trope of the baddish good guy had become stale and a cliche. And I don't think anyone else could pull it off because kind of Drew McIntyre was adjacent to that when he was carrying around a sword.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he wasn't doing any heely stuff. You've seen people try to do it, but no one has been able, because even during the Yes movement, it wasn't about Daniel Bryan's purity of heart. It was his purity of wrestling and how he deserved it physically in the ring. And it had nothing. Yes, we knew that he was affable fellow and a vegetarian and a good dude. We know that's why we love him. But it wasn't about what Cody Rhodes is making it about. That was more, this man fucking deserves it, because we all know that in between the ropes, he's the greatest in the world at that moment. This is different than that.
Yeah, it is. But even to an extent, I feel like he might have been the catalyst of change in the way we viewed a good guy at that time. I think those are definitely footsteps to where we are now. Had the Yes movement not taken place, would we still be in that mindset of the good guy wears black and you know whatever else? I think he was on the right path. He was kind of saying the same things to an extent, but he was saying it a lot differently. Like you said, between the ropes, nobody could touch him. And that's how he spoke to a crowd, because he gave us everything he physically could give us. He didn't have to tell us what he wanted to do. He just did it. And we appreciated that. And most of us had followed him for so long, watching him struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle. And finally the payoff was there. It's similar in Cody's struggle, but Cody's not afraid to come out and say, I'm struggling because, but I will struggle no more.
And showing that through admitting you have faults, that shows strength. I think a lot of, like, when people talk about like toxic masculinity, we talk, people are saying that like men won't admit when they feel insufficient, or, you know, won't admit when their feelings are hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see strong men do that, that in itself is a sign of strength. And then we like it even more because The Rock has never said, I'm struggling. I'm just trying to get up this hill. I'm trying to tell. No one's, well, not no one. Obviously, people have in the past, but that kind of storytelling has not been done in wrestling in a while. Just ever like, I'm badass. I'm an alpha. And that's just how it is, motherfuckers. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And Cody, by doing that and making him seem fragile a little bit, is making people more endearing to him.
Yeah, the Rock's version of struggle, and we've heard it for years, is he had $7 in his pocket, but an entire wrestling dynasty family that he could have went home to. You know, when Cody says we were broke, doing the segment with Paul Heyman last year, it wasn't I was broke. It was my family had no money. My dad did car commercials just to keep the car.
And we know, and if you are a big Dusty Rhodes fan, you know that that's a shoot, because Dusty Rhodes did not save his money when he was the biggest thing in wrestling. And there's always the anecdote that the God Emperor Cornette says on his video or on his channel, where when he was in NXT and he was bringing up Dusty's children, he used to say, Vince McMahon better be glad I didn't save my money, because he needed that job. Unfortunately, that's a story of the 80s and 90s wrestlers. They did. It was such a boom period, especially in that 84 to 87 era. They just always thought they were going to get paid $10,000 a night, and they spent money like that. So that's when Cody says that, we know that because we know that story.
Yeah, absolutely. And it gives you it gives the average wrestling fan, and in a world of poverty, it gives the average wrestling fan a way to truly connect with a guy that obviously is not in a stage of poverty at the moment, but knowing he was.
Hmm.
He stepped up and he overcame. Yes, he had an in the wrestling world, but if you hear him talk, his father didn't help him a whole lot other than giving him the contacts. He didn't help him develop. He didn't help the character style. Cody is Cody because of Cody. And he's a true success story in every form of the word. And people just feed off of that, knowing from what undesirable to unfreaking deniable, man. He uses it as a catchphrase, but he's living it every day.
We've heard him be called a nepo-baby, but when I hear that, I would just posit to you, Ted DiBiase's kid was there too. There's a lot of people that have failed out of the class because they just didn't have it. Sure. And it almost seems like Cody's going to end up a bigger fucking star than Dusty. So before we get out of here, I want to do one more thing. I know you like the fantasy book. I don't like the fantasy book. It's something me and Derek will argue about offline, but I'm going to set this man up because we were arguing so much during that whole The Rock going to come in, take his spot. Where are we going, Derek? The human wrestling encyclopedia, the only Derek Jones that matters. Is WrestleMania going to be the biggest fucking letdown, or is it going to be the most uplifting moment since WrestleMania?
See, if we want to be truthful about it, there's a 50-50 coin flip getting ready to happen. But if we want a fantasy book, I'll book Cody all the way to the end. And even further than that, I'll tell you how it's going to happen. At some point or another, The Rock's ego is going to get in the way, and he's going to be involved. And Roman is going to pie face The Rock, and The Rock is then going to pull Solo out of the equation to allow Cody to get the win. I don't think he's going to touch Roman because then it takes away from Cody. Cody needs to win and win clean. The Rock's going to help with the outside interference, and no one even knows why, but it's going to be because of the egos clashing, which sets up the match at SummerSlam between The Rock and Roman, which now gives Cody the trajectory to be the greatest world champion of a modern era, because he dethroned the tribal chief, and he's going to be one of these guys that are in the conversation of Rock, Cena, Austin, Hogan, because of what he's about to do. And then you have the big, bad, scary Gunther lurking in the wings, waiting to set up the greatest. That, to me, is going to be the greatest WrestleMania match of all time. If they do it correctly at 41, Cody and Gunther.
Man, we could do a whole other video about how all we want to do is see Gunther wrestle everyone. You weren't on the video that we did after the Royal Rumble, but something that I noticed, we got to do this real quick so we can get out of here. Every time Gunther chested up to anybody, the crowd was like, fuck yeah, we want to see Gunther fight that guy. Yeah. Dude, in a dark match two weeks ago, he wrestled somebody and R-Truth came out to make the save, and the crowd went nuts. Like, Gunther's so over, like Gunther I keep saying R. Kelly. Gunther R-Truth. I'll watch that. That's where Gunther's at. We just wanted Gunther versus the world.
Yeah, we just want to see him chop somebody.
Just beat the fuck out of somebody.
We don't even ideally want the guy to win. We just want to see him abuse people. And that's that little bit of the old school that we're hanging on to, because we like to see people fight and shoot fight. And sometimes you wonder if Gunther knows it's a work or not.
Dude, was it the Tyler Bate match where
Yeah.
I thought he murdered him. I was like, this
Tyler
is a
Bate and Ilya Dragunov. I think he abused him pretty good too.
yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. Well, there you go, fellas. And one girl that watches our show. If you're new, yes, this is the home of Stephen P. New. But Stephen P. New cannot be a regular on the channel all the time because these corporations are not going to sue themselves. What the House of Kayfabe is a collective of good friends who like to sit around and bullshit about wrestling. And hopefully you like watching us bullshit about wrestling. We welcome all the new fans. Be on the lookout for more Stephen P. New Law videos, and be on the lookout for Derek's Dynamite reviews on Wednesdays, hopefully on Thursdays. And if you like us, if you dig what we're doing, give us a like, a comment, and a share. For the only Derek Jones that matters, I am the other Steve. And kids, if you're going to try to be like somebody, man, you'd probably be well served to kind of be like Cody Rhodes.